So, all right, guys. So what is good here? This is Charles from Team COG coming at you guys here with a DDD deck profile. So this is my first skeleton of the list. I actually just got done playing this on stream here. So if you guys happen to miss those streams, ding that notification bell so you don't miss it. We have a great stream community here. And I just figured I'd showcase you guys my skeleton. This list is liable to change. It's 100% going to change. So I'll go ahead and show you guys what I got. And we did like 3 games and stuff like that. So I got a lot of testing. It was my first official like run with the deck, playing it with all the new support. And I do expect some more content to come out, such as like DDD combos and stuff like that. But the best way to describe this deck is this deck has tons and tons of line. Every 1, 2, and 3 card combos just have the ability to like pivot into so many more different lines of play. So it's easier to play this deck adaptively to what you get hand trapped. Like if you get ashed, your entire combo can just change completely, which is really cool. But anyway, we're just going to quickly jump into it because there's no point in going on forever. If you guys want a like in-depth test hand video, comment down below at the end of this video. And yeah, so without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So I'm on 3 Keplers. So I guess I should go ahead and say like this list is like a kind of like I've watched Team Sanctum from the EU and I watched PAX top 8 and everything. But I'm not playing the Go King or the Cerberus simply because I know that my boys, you guys out in Europe, don't have access to like those cards yet. So I wanted to make a list that was just very well suited for all around, all around play. But I believe this deck isn't meant to be a 1-card combo deck. I believe it's supposed to be like a 2 or 3 card combo deck. That's where you get some very powerful pushers and plays. And just having a 1-card combo is cool. But anyway, stop rambling. But 3 Kepler. Kepler is your normal summon. Search for Gate. Gate is your Stratos, or Gate is your like tanky for the deck. So, yep. So 3 Kepler. Triple Griffin. This card has, oh my gosh, this card is insane. This card has 3 effects on it that is not once per turn. You can use all 3 in 1 turn. And then its Pendulum effect allows you to increase the attack of a DDD monster up to the number of dark contracts in grave or on field, which allows you by 500. So you get to be like 1,000 attack and stuff. That's insane. But this card is like one of the consistently card this card needs. It's an extender to help make Gilgamesh. It's good. And I'd say this is the card that made the deck change in its axis of play to be in like a Synchro spam deck to more of a XYZ like combo line play. Like your general combo line is making Gilgamesh, then either making King Caesar or Marksman King Tell, and then linking them into a second Gilgamesh, and then just depending on your hand, you get stuff like that. But this is like what I'm rocking currently. Here is the... I don't think you would play any less of Griffin. And then I'm on to 3 Copernicus. This is Copernicus and like Kepler here are like your best normal summons in the deck. So like you want to maximize on like consistent normal summons. So not much more can be said. This card actually does have a prominent scale effect, especially when you use pre-map. You'll end up paying life, and then like you'll sometimes like need to like use the scale effect, which allows you to destroy this card instead of taking like the effect damage you would take. And that can come up pretty handy sometimes. Like I said, right after you use pre-map. And then I'm on to 2 Orthros. This card is really good. I wish I'd have read this card's like full effect. The ability to activate it in scale and just pop cards is just so good in the going second, going against set back row and stuff. It actually kind of makes me realize exactly like if you guys have seen PAX top 8 list, why he didn't play any back row removal, because he had searchable back row removal in the form of Orthros. And if you open Orthros with like Thomas, you're going to be able to solve 2 back row cards real easy. And it's a level 4 tuner that allows you to make Siegfried. And then if you happen to not use if this card is special summon, it locks you into Fiends. But if you normal this, there's like I'll show you guys in an update in a combo video coming up. You normal summon this card with Genghis to make Baron de Fleur, which is an anti-Nibiru line, anti-hand trap line. But anyway, then we're on to these 2 guys. These guys are like the scales are sitting. This guy is a Monster Reborn. This card's actually kind of nuts. Like if you guys don't know what this card does, the Pendulum effect is like whenever you special summon a DDD, you get to special summon 1 back, half damage for the rest of the turn to your opponent. And then if this card is normal special summon, you can target a DDD monster in the graveyard, special summon it, and then you contribute 1 card and banish 1 card in the field. So this card right here allows you to outpace the DPE. You're just able to like get rid of it, remove it completely, which is really good. And then Thomas here is just used for its scale effect to add back from the extra deck back to your hand to allow you to get like Griffin back to the hand. Because Griffin, you can use the effect to gain attack, then you can use Thomas to add it back. But that is it for the Pendulum monsters, guys. This is currently what I'm rocking. I think this is very standard for like non-Go or King builds. I think this is like the standard list that you play. You EU guys will be able to tell you better than I will. And then onto the Swirl Slimes. We're on to Triple Swirl. This card is like insane. One of the best cards in your deck. I'm missing 2 supers, so I'm going to probably order those tonight. My really concern with this deck is not liking it, because I've had this deck for quite a while, but I've never really took the time to learn it. And my very big concern was not liking the way this deck plays, because there's having such a big ceiling that you actually just like tire your brain out, and that's like exactly what this deck does. There's so many different routes, so many different lines, so many different plays that you can really exhaust your mind playing this. And that was kind of my concern with playing this deck, was that it was going to exhaust me and I wasn't going to like it, because I like linear combo lines in a sense. I like these two cards that get me here. There's no divergence, and that's where DDD is very versatile, and it's like combo lines is 2 cards can get you to point A to point B, but you can also take a left, right, and then go to point C or D, and then that D can take another left to point E. It's just, and it goes on. And then 1 Necro. I have not found the need to play an extra Necro. However, in a grind game, Necro does come up. But unless you're playing like against like I played against like a Snake Pile. That was my testing with John from Just Nuts. A second DD Swirl Slime or Necro Slime came up. However, that deck is kind of grindy in the sense with its graveyard. So maybe in like a normal gaming, it's like the DPE decks and meta decks, like you don't need an extra swirl. But if you want to play an extra one, you definitely have the space. It is definitely nice. And for those who don't know what these cards do by any means, if you guys are new to the channel or new to DDDs in general, this lets you fusion from hand. This lets you fusion in the graveyard. Lamia, it's kind of crazy that this card went from being the most important card in the deck to not being that important anymore. So, like, that is just kind of crazy to me. It used to be a 3 of, now it's a 1 of. You barely ever even use it to... It's more likely an extender to be able to make Gilgamesh. And then in some niche combo lines or niche plays, once you've been interrupted, you can, like, bring this out in Fusion... in Synchro, excuse me, with, like, Typhon. Or you can use it with D-Arc to make a Siegfried. But other than that, it's just extension. And then 1 Vice. This card is really good. You got to be on this card, guys. Like I said, for those awkward lines, when the awkward lines for Typhon and Lamian can make you Siegfried, and then it allows you to make a big Genghis from your extra deck, which is awesome. Big Genghis is insane, especially going second, especially when they just set 1 or 2 back row. Just planting that big Genghis down just applies so much pressure. And then finally, I'm on to just 3 hand traps, or not just 3, but here's my 3 monster hand traps. Ash. Ash is like in this. It's kind of crazy how the format's changed. I think you can't... I don't agree with packs like 12 plus hand traps, to be honest with you. That's my one critique, but every player's different. I don't agree with that. He might disagree with 6, but I just agree with 6 hand traps is good. It doesn't water down your engine. You're not going to brick on open multiple hand traps. Because at the end of the day, like, you can draw as many hand traps as you want. They're not going to win you a game. You still need to see engine, and just by playing 2, you have a certain percentages of opening 1 or both, which is really good. And Ash just solves everything. Ash is there to hit those powerful pot cards that could potentially get your opponent to blow out cards or combo pieces, etc. Anyway, on to the main deck spells here. We're on to 3 Dark Contract with the Gate. Remember, this card is tanky for the deck. Once per main phase, you can use its effect to search, but during every of your standby phases, you burn 1,000. So you can die real easy if you use Puri Map, and these 2 cards are like resolving, and like you can really die. You can like at the standby, you can pay 1,000 for Gilgamesh, pay 1,000 for Oblivion. And then in a standby phase, you'll take like 2,000 from Dark Contractor into a Swamp Fuse. So like you're already down like 4,000 real fast. So sometimes it's really good just to like put Copernicus in the scale, or just monitor your damage intake so like you don't die. And then Dark Contract with the Swamp lets you fusion summon from hand or field. And if you're fusion summoning a DD monster, you can banish cards from your graveyard instead. But these are some of like these are the best ones. And then this card right here, Patent License. I'm very iffy on this card. Simply because, like, the ability to activate as a floodgate has never come up. I've not even sent it to add back a card. Like, it's not come up yet, but that's what the limited testing that I had. So I will definitely be playing it more just to be able to, like, get a better grasp of the deck until I, like, figure out if this card is truly necessary or not. This is currently my Dark Contract lineup right here for the spells. Moving on here, I was on to Triple Allure. This card, I like this card, but I'm also very greedy, so don't play this card if you guys don't want to. I don't like a deck that doesn't have any inherent draw, and that was one of the issues that I faced with, like, certain decks that I play. Like, almost every deck that I kind of play, in a sense. Like, Plant Link, no inherent draw except for Pot of Avarice. Crusadia has Skull Dread, technically, so that's inherent. That's engine draw. And, what's the other card? Infernobles, you pretty much are stuck with the hand you opened with, and I didn't like that. So I wanted to play Allure just to be able to draw into more hand traps, more extenders. You do 1-for-1 trades, which is the only downside to this card, is, like, you are banishing, but, like, you play 3 of everything. And as long as you're not, like, forced to banish... You're never going to be in a situation where you're forced to banish both of these guys. And if you are, then that's just kind of... It's kind of rough. But you still technically have a third way to do it by getting out the Swamp King. So, like, I feel like this is really good. I feel like that if you want to play greedy and you want to be able to draw into side deck, you want to draw into, like, combo pieces, hand traps, Allure is the way to go. Otherwise, you're just banking on opening cards, and I don't like that because statistically, especially with my awful luck, opening cards is not that good. Like, my luck of opening the cards I need is not too good. So, like, having a Lure to dig into more hand traps and stuff like that, and throwing away just an extra piece in your hand that you have it's a multiple name of, is very nice to do. Double pre-map. I didn't want to play 3 of these because this card can brick. It has to be the first thing you activate, pay half your life, and you can search out your Copernicus and or your Kepler. And yeah, not much more to be said. It's just another like immediate rota for the deck to allow you to get to your combo pieces. I do have Small Worlds, and I do need to pick up an eccentric Archfiend to test that engine, but I'm not too much of a fan of that engine just because like the neg that you take in your hand is something I don't like. As you guys can see, I'm playing Allures to be able to be greedy and draw more, and if you're playing Small World, you're negging in your hand, which I don't like. However, I'm open to test that when I get the cards for it. But 2 pre-maps. For the busted one-ofs, and this is like for one of the final times, like if you play enough broken one-ofs, you're going to see a lot more broken one-ofs, right? So like 1-for-1, Insane, Foolish Burial, Pot of Desires, and Called by the Grave are all one-ofs, and they're all busted one-ofs. You will always probably see with the Swamp King, this card is like the new Crusadia Crawler for those familiar with the channel. And but seeing one of these just allow you to play through so much stuff. Like these cards are such like powerful superior extenders, and these I didn't even put this here. This card is such a powerful superior extender that you just get to plow through. And Call by the Grave is just, well, if there's ever a combo deck to play Call by the Grave in, let's be honest, I think DDD takes the cake because this deck is literally almost the max potential combo you need. Moving on to the traps, here's my final hand trap Impermanence. Just to respect DPE and to smack down, you know, like frame 1, drop Imperial Infinite Impermanence. I almost said Imperial Order, but thank God that card was banned. But frame 1, drop Infinite Impermanence, and then you just get rid of, you just solve DPEs, you can bait a Griffin Rider, etc. And this card is going to be the one that's going to be up for the bait, is the Contract with the Witch. I don't play Headhunt because in my local area, there's nobody, like the argument I get for Headhunt versus Dark Contract with the Witch is that Droplets and Dark Ruler No More, they normal summon, then they fire off those cards, and you can Headhunt. And if they frame 1 it, you have a negation through it if they activate those cards. But I want to play with the Witch because in my local area, my local people, they frame 1 Droplets and Dark Ruler No More. So Headhunt's dead, and I lose my entire board, and I just get 1 negate Snatch Steal with like Headhunt. Whereas this card is, if I end with Siegfried, I can negate those cards that they summon, or excuse me, I can negate the cards that they activate, like Droplets and or the Dark Ruler No More, by chaining this card to it, and then chaining Siegfried to this and negating it, very much to the Echo Max effect. And then I still have my interruptions. I'm not giving up my entire board just from 1 eruption. I'm giving up 1 interaction to stop it. Whereas so that's like the argument there. However, there were definitely some instances where I do wish I had Headhunt, especially testing, because like that interruption is pretty good. But that is it for the main deck. It is 40 cards, I believe. So yeah, I like it. Like I said, there's a few things I might change moving forward. I might put an extra Swirl Slime. Might change this for Headhunt. I might, you know, maybe move to playing the Allure, take out Pot of Desires, and play like the Small World and Eccentric Engine. But it performed great tonight. I think what I need to do is I just need to test a little bit more and get a better grasp of the deck in general, because this deck really can hurt my brain. Like, my brain is still hurting from having to play this deck for the little bit that I did. There's just so many different routes you can do, and this deck can really go second too, guys. Like, this deck is like the only deck I've ever played that's like so combo that the combos can plow through disruptions going second. Like, that's insane. But moving on to the extra deck, I apologize, guys. I do have 1 proxy, so just bear with it. It's a $100 Baron, so like I didn't know I wasn't gonna pay $100 for Baron and not like the deck, right? So like, just hang out with me. We are playing triple Gilgamesh. This card is insane. On summon, pay 1,000 life points and set your scales. And then if this card just is destroyed by battle or card effect by your opponent, you get to float any DDD monster from your extra deck. But this card's really good. I remember this card used to be considered bad, and now look at it. Thanks to the new stuff, this card is like the only Link monster you play in the deck, which is crazy. Now on to the XYZs. We are on double Machinex. This card is insane. This and Griffin. If you guys just read these cards, you will understand. I'm not going to read them to you. Just read, Google, and read these cards. You understand why these cards are busted. This card is what it gives the deck a less punishment, right? Just because of, you can be a bad player and still end on this guy for 2 Snatch Steals. But this guy is such a problem. This card is such a pain in the butt to solve and get rid of, because even if you get rid of it, it's just so easy to smack on another DDD. And the ability for it to be like not once per chain, so it's not once per turn, but just once per chain, to be able to Snatch Steal cards that your opponent activates is just so good. And the Pendulum effect never came up, but the Pendulum effect's even good. If you read the Pendulum effect, it is good. Everything about this card is good. And then Wave King Caesar, King Tell, And when these guys are sent to graveyard, so like you normally link them into a second Gilgamesh, you get the ability to add a Dark Contract from deck to hand, and then Foolish Burial, a Dark Contract or DD monster from your deck. And then this card burns for 1,000, and actually comes up with manipulating stats. You can reduce a monster's attack by 1,000, which is really good, and they're like facing off against bigger monsters that sometimes pop up. So like you want that. So Griffin, this deck actually has a very good time outing big monsters with Griffin, and then with Marksman, it's really good. I also like the aesthetic of the deck. They're all named after famous heroes, famous kings, famous inventors, and stuff like that. That's really cool. One Wave High King Caesar. Solemn Warning on legs. Why not, right? Not once per turn, Solemn Warning, and the attack boost is crazy. You get to make your like guys like super huge too, so they can't be attacked over. Zeus. And I guess I should bring this up. This card is like every combo line you can make Baron before your fifth summon. You can do the same with High Wave King Caesar here for your 5th. I think so. Like, it's just, the card's crazy, guys. The card is cracked. Zeus, because you can make it. Double Genghis and one big Genghis here. These cards are self-explanatory for the combo. Monster Reborn, Monster Reborn. This card is actually insane. You summon this card into an opponent's board, right, of set 1 or 2 cards, and this card has just the ability. Same with Orthros. This card just puts so much pressure on those set 1, set 2, maybe sometimes set 3 decks, you know, that just set 1 card. This card just immediately, you summon this guy, and that set card in the back row is dead. It's dead. It's not going to resolve. And you just get to Monster Reborn. It just gives you a little bit more blanket protection to allow you to play through those when you're going second. And then the Genghis is Reborn cards. When these guys are destroyed, they let you, I believe, add a Dark Contract from your graveyard to your hand. And this is how you make High Wave King, is these 2 guys. You like fusion them both out, and then you make Wave King here. And then for kind of like a flex spot, which is just in here to help you facilitate a Siegfried a lot easier. But I have found myself wanting to play Gus King instead, because Gus King, you just have a way easier to sometimes facilitate the Synchro version or Synchro side of it than you are like the fusion side of it in those plays. So like this card is definitely a flex spot. I would honestly maybe try playing Gus King, because like you could Gus King, summon, then bring back, and you make Siegfried easier. Whereas like sometimes you're not gonna have access to the swirl or access to the cards that you need. But you'll have access to Lamia, which is pretty cool. For the last 2 cards, I apologize. By the magic of editing, bam, Baron de Flores here. And then Curse King Siegfried. If you guys do not know, I'm a huge Fate Stay fan. I love Fate Stay Apocrypha. I love Fate Stay Night, Fate Stay Strange. I love all that stuff. Siegfried's one of my all-time favorite Fate Stay Night characters. And I actually have, like, Field Centers, tokens. And it's kind of cool to finally play the deck that summons Cursed King Siegfried. If you guys don't know, he is a monster spell negate. A spell and trap negate, not a monster negate. And then when he dies, you gain 1,000 for every Dark Contract. Baron's good simply because, like, Baron can pop your own, like, Caesar or Marksman to be able to summon stuff, or, you know, get the dumping effect. But that is it, guys, for the profile. I appreciate you guys sticking through it, and not much more can be said. Stay tuned for some more DDD content. I plan to be pumping out as much as I can to try and learn this deck, and without further ado, guys, please remember, you guys stay safe, stay healthy. This is Charles from Team COG, signing out.